Good afternoon, Meridian. I'm Sean Evans with the Meridian Chamber of Commerce, and welcome to our program this afternoon, COVID-19 Ask and Answer. I'm joined today by Mayor Robert Simison and Jeff Lavey, Police Chief for the Meridian Police Department. We're taking a few minutes today to talk with the Mayor and the Chief Lavey and try to answer some questions that we've been hearing. With multiple orders coming from multiple jurisdictions and things constantly changing, we know everything can be a bit confusing. So let us go through together some of the questions from the business community and the public. Mayor, the first question is for you. Why haven't you implemented a mask mandate in Meridian?
Well, way to kick it off, Sean. Great question right out of the gate. And Meridian does have a mask mandate. We are part of the Central District Health Order, require masks be worn in public places in Ada County. This includes Meridian. I supported CDH's order when they issued it. I think it sends the right message to the community. We should be wearing a mask when getting groceries, Christmas shopping, working, or in another public place. However, mandates by themselves have challenges and don't solve problems. People have to choose to wear masks. People need to choose to be part of the solution. We got to listen to our healthcare professionals who have seen that masks help slow the spread. So I want to say thank you to those in the community who are choosing to wear a mask, help slow the spread of COVID-19, which has been our goal from the start.
Okay, so there is a mask mandate in place for Meridian. It's just coming through the Central District Health order that was in place since June.
Yes, there is a legal mask mandate for the city of Meridian and all of Ada County.
I think some of that confusion comes from the fact that Canyon County is a different health district. They have different guidelines, but we're Ada County, and the Central District Health is made up of Ada, Elmore, Boise, and Valley County, and other health districts have different orders at this time.
Right.
So is Meridian open for business? We have that question coming from a lot of people around the area. Is the community open for business?
Meridian is open for business, but it's up to all of us to help keep it that way. I'm pro-business, and I think in today's world, to be pro-business, that means you have to be pro-safety as well. They go hand in hand. Just like when the chamber started the Keep Meridian Safe and Healthy, that was about being open. You know, that was part of that mantra. And so for those Meridian businesses, large and small, that are open and operating with proper protocols and have been doing that in many cases since March, I want to say thank you to them. They've stepped up. They've done what is appropriate. They've gone above and beyond during this entire process to keep themselves, their employees, their patrons healthy. And I think that one of the things we really have seen, early on we heard a lot of comments about what was essential, but what we found is all businesses are essential. So it's important for all businesses to be open and healthy for the community, for their employees. They're providing a paycheck, which is paying for food, which is paying rent or mortgage. They're providing a service to another business that people may say is more essential, but you need to have printing done, to educate people about whatever those measures are. So to all of our businesses that are essential and our residents and people that work in them, they have taken this last year and they've gotten very creative in what they need to do to continue to operate. They've worked hard to implement these new ways of doing business. And to the patrons that show up, that are wearing masks, they too are pro-business. I want to say thank you to them for following the safety protocols that the business has put in place and the orders that have been issued by Governor Little and Central District Health throughout this process. But we all need to do our part if we're going to keep our businesses open.
We've been all going through this together for 8 months now. What perspective have you developed during this pandemic?
Well, I think what I've seen is this is hard on everybody. We need to recognize how it's impacted the lives of people and our businesses. Early on, I spoke with business owners who made the decision to close their doors. And after working years to build up a brand in the business, they made tough decisions. This past weekend, I had a parent stop by my house as she was walking by, as she sees her kids struggle under the current orders and trying to work through that. Just like this virus impacts people's health differently, so has the way in which we respond to this as a society. Some people, it's move on, keep going. They take different viewpoints about this. And we need to understand that, unfortunately, what we've seen is it often creates, you've got to be on one side or the other. You want to have no restrictions whatsoever, or you want to see people locked up and put in jail for not wearing masks. That makes it really hard to come together as a society. And so, as public officials, we need to do our part to educate and help protect the public health and safety of our community. And I think I really want to go back to getting people to understand that what we've been trying to do from the beginning is to slow the spread of COVID, to minimize the impacts to our hospitals. Why we wait for a vaccine to be developed for those who like to take it. And Sean, I think, for me, I am not a doctor, but I do trust the epidemiologists and the other subject matter experts at the health department and in our hospitals for their efforts to help protect our community. We need to continue to listen to them to help keep our businesses and our schools open. So to help make that happen, I am pro safety measures of wearing masks, washing my hands regularly, and keeping physically distanced from others when I can. I encourage others to do the same.
These are all things that we're doing in order to keep Meridian healthy and open for business.
Absolutely.
Chief Lavey, what happens if the public has concerns about a business's safety protocols?
Thank you, Sean, for that question. I think first and foremost, I want to say thank you to the majority of people doing the right thing. I see businesses out there that are taking steps, the proper steps to keep their employees healthy, to keep the community healthy, and we really appreciate that. Ultimately, I think people do want to do the right thing. Some struggle because they don't know what that right thing is to do, and that's our part as far as helping educate them so they understand. Our business owners know what the health order says. They know what they're required to do, but they can't be in the business 24 hours either. And so their employees may not be doing exactly what is expected of them. And the business owners need to know that. And we need to work in partnership with our community and ask our patrons to phone the business or to send an email or, if comfortable, speak to a manager on site, because ultimately they can't fix what they don't know. So we need to share that. Many times if you point something out in a calm, respectful manner or professional manner, it goes a long ways. If you start screaming and yelling and making demands and threats, they're going to shut you down. They're not going to listen to you. Also, I'd like to say that if you feel that you need to report a business, just go onto the Central District Health's website. It's very informative. Or call them at the phone number, which is 208-321-2222, and express your concerns that you have for those businesses. We have a partnership with Central District Health that if they can't resolve it, they'll call us and we'll try to assist them. That's probably what I could tell people.
So really, be a neighbor.
Be a neighbor.
Be a
partner.
neighbor.
We can't all do it ourselves. We all have to work together. We all know what the right thing is to do. We need to work together to get that result.
Our area business has been facing these challenges and the changing guidelines and restrictions for about 8 months now, as we mentioned. Many of our business owners ask the same question: how can I take steps to protect my business?
Well, I can tell you that I would like to say that the Meridian Police Department is here for them now, and they were here for them 8 months ago. We just kind of like to highlight what we can do to work together. As the owner of the business or the manager of the business, they have a right to make the rules, and they have a right to demand that the health orders be complied with. And they have a certain responsibility, though, too, is they just can't ignore it. They can't say, well, that's someone else's job, or say this is a law enforcement problem. They need to step up and they need to ask people to comply with the store rules or the health order. And then if they don't, they can call us, the police department. We'll show up and help educate that person. And if they don't comply, then we can cite them, arrest them for trespassing.
Thank you, Chief. Mayor, where are we now with community spread in Meridian?
Well, we're continuing to see community spread throughout the region. As a city, I think it's important for us to look at what we can do to do our part. And that starts with following respecting the lawful orders from Central District Health and the Governor Little to bring our community along in support of those efforts. I trust the subject matter experts at the health department. And I want to thank them as well as all of our hospital workers for their hard work to help protect our community and keep our businesses open, and as well as keeping our kids in school. That's been a goal of so many people throughout this process. So I also want to encourage Central District Health to use the data in their decision-making process. When science points to areas or hotspots, I believe that those precautions make sense. But I struggle with decisions which impact our community, our businesses, our schools, if the data does not support that fact. We need to do what we can to be supportive of contact tracing efforts and work with Central District Health and other staff so that we can identify where those hotspots may exist, quite frankly. And remember that the whole goal of social distancing, wearing masks, is not to get rid of COVID-19, and not even to no one's ever going to get it. But we got to help slow the spread. We have to slow down COVID here in our community. This will allow the hospitals to keep pace with not just COVID, but other illnesses, while the country works towards a vaccine solution for those that would like to take the vaccine.
They do say the vaccine is right around the corner, maybe as early as next week, starting to distribute nationwide. Mayor, what's next for our community? What should we be doing as we're going into the holiday season?
I think, from a very practical matter, people need to be very mindful about their gatherings. I heard this today about some issues where we've had people that were there for Thanksgiving, they had people over, and now COVID exposures from those small gatherings. So I think from a practical standpoint, people need to be very mindful about who they get together with, why, for how long, and in what way. I'm not saying you can't do things, but can you do things safely? Wearing masks, washing your hands, and staying apart can apply if you have people in your house from that standpoint. But we need to listen to what the experts say, follow the orders, so that we can try to do our part, because that will help slow the spread in our community. For those that haven't followed the safety protocols, I hope that they will start doing so. We've had a lot of people over the last 8 months that have taken a lot of steps forward, whether it's business, whether it's our individuals. They've been doing the right things. They're part of the equation, but we're a community. Some people can't solve it for everybody, but some can run it for everybody. I think we've all learned that in school. You'd be in school and you'd have 2 kids that weren't doing things, and the entire class decided a professional teacher. Maybe they missed out on that Friday movie. Who knows what it was? But we need everyone to choose to do the right thing if we're going to help move us forward. At the end of the day, and I saw something on social media a while ago that I think sums this up perfectly. While our medical professionals are typically the typical first line of defense, that's not the case during this pandemic. Each of us is the first line of defense. Our medical professionals are the last line of defense. It's up for all of us to keep our schools and business open and our community healthy through the decisions we're making. So thank you to everyone for doing their part to help us get to the finish line.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Mayor Simison and Chief Lavey, for joining us today. Mayor, last words are yours.
I just want to say thank you to you, Sean, and members of the business community. I hope that this information helps provide some clarity to this constantly changing and to some confusing situation. If you have further questions, please don't hesitate to send them our way. Let's stay together and keep Meridian healthy